back live from the LinkedIn Hub at Advertising Week. And as promised, we're bringing you the best and the brightest. And we've got with us someone best and brightest, very creative person whose work I've admired for quite some time. We've got Hassan. She is the VP Creative Director at Burnett. And, you know, I mean, already just in the day and a half that I've been here doing interviews, I've probably spoken to 3 people who've talked about the Always Like a Girl campaign. And just in the context of so many different things, but primarily this idea of the trend towards emotional advertising. Less listen to how great my brand is and less rational and more having an emotional reaction. So I want to talk about that trend with you, and I know that that's also the panel that you're speaking on.
We're speaking with that on Viral. I mean, I think that that's what we're seeing in the industry more and more, and what work is really resonating. You see this, I've seen this at Cannes when we just went to, the work that's really breaking through and connecting with people is, you know, really taking it to the next level. You know, it's really going beyond the product to start to look at, brands have to look at the belief systems, the values that they have, and try to like really connect with consumers, take those beliefs and find the conversations that they're having already, and the things, the topics that are meaningful to them, and join those conversations. You know, because that's more than ever, the conversation has to be personal. I mean, we're on devices that are right here in our hands, in our laps, and honestly, we're not invited to those conversations.
Yeah, nobody's going to say, yes, brands, come, you know, partake in our conversation, but you have to find a nice, subtle way of...
You have to find a way to be part of that conversation in a really authentic way that they believe in, because, and it has to be authentic. Millennials in particular are really tuned in authenticity, and they can smell it a mile away. So it's really important.
So that's, I mean, I think that that's quite a challenge, though, and we were talking about marrying those brand beliefs or those brand values with the social currency, as you were saying. So how do you do that? How do you overcome that? I mean, what's the formula, essentially, for doing it right?
Well, there isn't really a formula. Again, it depends on the brand. It depends on the brand and the brand beliefs. You know, for example, we did this. You have to really, the brand has to really look at the things that they believe in and the values that they're rooted in. So if you look at Like a Girl, it was all about a brand that had been supporting women's confidence for 30 years. And, you know, with the product, obviously, that really gives you confidence. But with this younger audience that was experiencing a confidence crisis during puberty, there needed to be a deeper connection, a deeper acknowledgement of how to really be part of that conversation. And so these are girls that were experiencing, you know, it transformed into this, you know, this gender bias that we see in the community, all encapsulated in an insult. You know, one word, like a girl, doing something like a girl that we were all kind of just going along with.
Yeah,
and so
we
to
catch
really
ourselves all doing
right,
that,
we all catch ourselves doing that. I mean, I've caught myself doing it, and so you realize how ingrained it was. And so the brand had this opportunity to say, be an ambassador for those girls, and to sort of take that insult on and say, hey, this shouldn't be an insult. Doing something like a girl is actually an amazing thing. And so it really allowed them to authentically continue to be about confidence and about their brand beliefs, but in a way that was really meaningful to that younger community, when confidence is so important in building for the rest of their lives.
And I think that's an example, a perfect example, of what we were talking about in terms of brands more than ever needing to have their consumers, their buyers, appreciate them on a different level. You know, so I think that there's a challenge in that, and you know, how do you start to appreciate the values of a brand and so on, and not just the features it has or whatever. So achieving that, is that, I mean, let's talk a little bit about how you know, as you were saying, the ingredients for a perfect hit or for a really great.
Yeah, I was talking about it like, you know, there's no formula. It's more like a soup, is what I said. It's like a soup. You know, there's smart ingredients that you can add that you know are going to taste really good and add a really great flavor. And then somewhere in the blend, there's a little bit of magic for sure that makes it a hit. You know, like this whole idea of people say, well, I want to go viral. You can't really just go viral.
You
can just go viral. I want a viral ad. Well, we can't
really
guarantee
your
it's
eyes
viral,
every time you get one of those.
Yeah, of course.
I wonder, well, don't we all, honey? I mean,
but it starts with really, really looking at, brands have to really look at the things that are the building blocks of who they are. Like we did this piece for Esurance, again, that was, you know, a company that was providing insurance for same-sex couples. You know, this was in advance of the Supreme Court ruling that just happened, and they had been doing it for 2 years in states where it wasn't legal, and they were providing protections to this community where it was really valuable. And so telling that story at a really critical time when the country was going through this topical change, and really owning that conversation, being part of that conversation was really authentic and natural to that brand, and gave them a lot of, I think, you said, took it to the next level, right, for the consumers. It's like, I love insurance. They give me great insurance, and, they're online, so they're easy to use. But what else? What else is, they get me. They believe in the same things I believe. They believe that everybody should be able to get married. And wow, isn't that, and they're actually doing something about it. They're actually providing, my friend who lives in a state who can't get married is protected because of them, So they're doing something that's not only relevant to the consumer, but also to the friends of the consumers, you know? So those are the ways that brands have to find to connect with people in ways that really pay off authentically what they do as a brand, what the things are that they believe in, and who they are.
So we've talked about that warm and fuzzy emotional side. Let's talk about something like mobile. Mobile is such a big trend, and obviously now, it's how do you find that relevance on mobile? I mean, it's growing and it's obviously not going away. So how do you, are we as an industry really able to provide that relevance on those platforms?
Absolutely. I mean, I think right now we're in a really exciting time for mobile. I mean, mobile is where everything is happening, right? It's right in your hand. It's with you 24 hours a day. It's by your bed. It's in your pocket. I mean, I get yelled at all the time because I'm on my mobile too much. I can't put it down. It's like it's an addiction. And so the opportunity is how to best use mobile. And I think we're still in that transition right now, and we're finding ways to make the conversation more relevant on mobile, because mobile isn't just about, a 1-inch banner ad. That's not gonna engage me. It's the same way something like a girl is more relevant than, a picture of, 50 cents off a box of, maxi pads.
Right.
Not that it's not important, but that's not the place to put it there, right? Like on my mobile, I'm not in that mindset. 50 cents off when I'm in the store, in the aisle, that makes sense. On my mobile, tell me a story, tell me something about your brand. And so I think more we're seeing that mobile is being, with technology, the platform is being optimized to deliver more video, deliver more content through things like Huffington Post, through YouTube. I just saw last night AOL's doing this great new platform called Go 90, which is a kind of a mix of both. It's a mix of both content delivery as well as social conversation. So it's a really exciting time for mobile, because that's where messages are going to be happening. More branded type of content messages like a girl, like Esurance, where we're telling stories and being part of conversations in these spaces where it's native.
So lastly, I just want to ask you about also custom content. I mean, you brought it up. So custom content is obviously a lot of people in the business think that this is a way to go, but far less people think that we're actually executing effective strategies for that.
Right.
How do we close that gap?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of what I've been talking about, just in terms of brands really understanding that the strategy, you have to shift your strategy in custom content and in mobile spaces, for example, from the way we've done things in the past, from doing traditional media and TV or print, where we're being very much more direct about the product. Again, these spaces are very personal, the conversation has to be personal, and so finding ways to, again, really look at the brand and find that authentic conversation is how I think where you have to root your strategy in is what are the things you believe in, and then how do you tap into a topic, how do you tap into a conversation that's already happening with that audience in a way that's meaningful.
I think it sounds like to me like you have to be so also aware, because there's always there's a window of opportunity, there's a moment to tap into everything before it goes.
Yeah, I mean, the Esurance thing's a perfect example because it was topical and the timing was right and there was kind of a conversation already happening, but they had been doing it for 2 years. But the culmination of the Supreme Court ruling, the fact that, this was kind of an impending decision and the country was for the first time possibly going to have coverage and protections across the board, was a really monumental time. And so it was strategically smart for the brand to say, okay, now is a great time for us to be talking about our beliefs. We believe that all couples should have coverage and should be able to get married and have the same dreams as any other person. And that was a big part of the conversation, was really taking it away from the politics. And we made it all about dreams, about having equal dreams. So.
Yes. That's awesome. I mean, if you can find the right timing and really touch people like that, that's amazing.
Yeah.
AJ, thank you so much.
Oh,
Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to hearing the next campaign. And no more anybody saying like a girl unless you mean it very positively.
Yeah, so, thank you. Well, it's been awesome talking to you.
Thanks.